Sable ran, her breath puffed white in the dim half-light, boots slipping on mossy cobbles as the bells of dusk tolled somewhere deep in the spires above. Each peal echoed through the silent, somber city, counting down to the nightfall, that fearful hour when the Emberlight would gutter, and the unseeners strayed from their gilded sanctuaries. She dared not pause. The precious hourglass of filtered sun, threadbare and nearly spent, trembled in her satchel as she darted behind shuttered market stalls. "Thief!" came a curse, low and ragged, but Sable ignored it. She wasn't a thief, not truly. Apprentices of the Sunshapers Guild could no longer wait. Too many days spent rationing scraps of dawn, her master a shade of himself, hunched over dying embers. Too many rules and secrets when children shivered for want of warm light. Suddenly, the world pitched sideways. Her foot snagged a root, and Sable tumbled into a heap beside an ancient marker stone. Groaning, she brushed grit from her palm, and her fingers closed on something cold and unfamiliar. A lantern. Not standard guild work. This was old, its glass chimney etched with constellations she hadn't learned in her training, its bronze frame tangled with tiny, thorned vines. It pulsed faintly at her touch, casting a brief, impossible spark of daylight that flared between her fingers, before dying to a glow not even an unseener could name. A shape darted at the corner of her eye. Sable swung round, and found herself nose to muzzle with a russet fox. No, not just a fox. Its fur shimmered with shifting shades, and its eyes glowed like twin embers. It grinned, showing too many teeth. "That was quite the tumble, apprentice. Fates only know you'd have slept past the dusk if I hadn't nudged," the fox said, tail flicking. Shock numbed Sable's tongue. You can talk?" The fox yawned, unconcerned. "Name's Ash. You heard the bells? We're running out of time. The thing you found, it's not meant to stay hidden. The Nightwardens will want it back." Sable clutched the lantern, heart hammering. "What is it?" "A way out," Ash said, eyes narrowing. "Or the end, depending how brave your heart is." Before Sable could reply, a shadow slithered across the cobbles. Ash's hackles rose. "They're coming. Make your choice. Follow me, or let the world sleep forever." Sable stood, shaky but determined, lantern held tight. She stared out into the encroaching dark and took a breath. "Lead on." Ash darted down a shadow-soaked alley, his shape blurring at the edges. Sable stumbled after him, clutching the ancient lantern to her chest. Each footstep splashed through puddles that shimmered with murky reflections of faded sunlight. The bells fell silent behind them, swallowed by the hiss of nightfall's approach. "Ash, wait!" Sable gasped, barely keeping pace. She glanced over her shoulder. The shadow that chased them seemed almost alive, pooling and stretching along walls, coiling just beyond the reach of Emberlight. "We can't slow down," Ash called back, leaping onto a low wall and pausing just long enough for Sable to follow. "This part of the city belongs to the unseeners after the bells. Lantern given or not, we'll be nothing but echoes if they catch us." Sable's nerves bristled. "What do they want with us? With this?" She held up the lantern, its pale gleam pulsing slightly brighter in her grip. Ash dropped to the ground, landing so softly he barely rustled the old leaves. "Not us. The Emberlight's balance. They want it tipped in their favor. Night without end, no dawn to break the spell. That lantern is a thorn in their paw." Sable's eyes widened. "How do you know all this?" A sly grin flickered across Ash's vulpine face. "It's my job to know. Besides, you're not the first apprentice to chase lost legends, just the first in a long while to find the real thing." A sudden clatter made them both freeze. A tall figure loomed in the alley's mouth, face shrouded by a hood of dark feathers, eyes glinting a hungry silver. Ash stepped protectively between the stranger and Sable. "Nightwarden," he snapped, hackles raised. The Nightwarden's voice rasped from under the hood. "Surrender the lantern, child. Daylight is dangerous in the hands of the unworthy." Sable bit her lip and straightened her shoulders. "If daylight belongs to anyone, it's the people starving in the dark." The Nightwarden slid forward, shadow swallowing his feet. "Bravery or foolishness? Either will end the same." Ash growled low, fur bristling. "You'll have to go through both of us." Sable looked at the lantern, feeling its warmth flicker at her touch. "I'm not turning back. Let's go, Ash." Ash darted forward, leading Sable down labyrinthine alleys, twisting between broken arches and sagging doors. The Nightwarden's pursuit echoed after them, relentless. Finally, they burst into a ruined courtyard, breathless. Sable doubled over, lantern pulsing wildly. Ash glanced at her, eyes sharp. You've done braver than most already, but this is just the beginning. Do you really want to see what's at the edge of night? Sable stood, determination stronger than fear. I have to. There's too much at stake. Ash nodded, the embers in his eyes flaring. Then stick close. There are others who want balance restored, but we'll need to find them before the Nightwardens close in. Lightning forked overhead, illuminating the courtyard, and in its brief light, Sable saw a faint trail etched into the mossy stones, a path only the lantern's glow revealed. Together they stepped onto the secret way, shadows creeping in at their heels. Dawn glow flickered in the lantern as Sable and Ash wound deeper into the heart of the city. Each step along the moss-lit trail pulled them further from familiar cobbles and into the wild arteries of forgotten realms, where roots nudged up between the stones and night fluttered on phantom wings. Behind them, the pulse of the Nightwardens' chase faded, replaced by a thick, expectant silence. Sable's breath trembled. Where does this path end? Ash's tail curled, shifting from russet to smoky black as he studied the runes glowing at their feet. Through the Echo Wood, home to those who remember the world before the Nightwardens reigned. But not all memories welcome the living. They stepped beneath twisted boughs, lanterns' light painting silver on every knotted branch. Shadows recoiled at their passage, but a deeper darkness watched from high above. How do you know these legends? Sable ventured, brushing tangled ivy from her shoulder. Ash padded ahead, pausing at a crooked tree. I listen when others forget. Before the Keepers took daylight, the realms danced together. Humans, foxes, and even the shadows. I was there in another pelt. Sable eyed him skeptically. You were alive then? A sly glint in Ash's ember-bright eyes. Sometimes I'm not even entirely real. Now hush, we're not alone. A soft, melodic voice drifted through the boughs. Lantern-bearer, show your light, if peace is your purpose. Sable hesitated, then held the lantern high. The glow rippled out in waves, and suddenly from the roots a woman sprang forth, antlers branching from her brow and gown trailing fungus and leaves. Two more figures flanked her, one with owl's wings, another with skin pale as moonstone. Ash lowered his head. Earless Grove Mother, we come seeking allies, not trespass. The antlered woman's gaze flickered over Sable. So the old promise stirs again. You hold what the world lost. Why? Sable's answer came, quiet but fierce. We can't survive as shadows. I want to bring back the dawn for everyone. The Grove Mother considered, branches trembling. Every balance has its price, child. The Nightwardens are not the only danger. If the lantern awakens what slumbers beneath, will you still choose to shine? Sable faltered, then met her gaze. If I must. A quiet nod. Then you must pass 3 trials. Truth, courage, and sacrifice. Fail, and the forest will keep you. Succeed, and the path to Emberlight's heart will open. The owl-winged figure stepped forward, feathers drifting down. You will face your deepest visions, but you won't do so alone. Ash glanced at Sable, voice soft. Together, then? Sable nodded, lantern held fast. Together! As the forest deepened, a cold wind rustled the leaves. The first trial, and Sable's deepest truths awaited in the roots below. The ground trembled beneath Sable's feet as the Grove Mother carved a rune in the loam. The earth split with a sigh, revealing a stair spiraling into darkness, thick with the scent of rain and ancient promises. Sable's heart pounded. She tightened her grip on the lantern, its glow flickering, bravely holding steady. Ash pressed close. The truth trial, he murmured, voice uncharacteristically gentle. Most turn back. I can shift, Sable, but I can't shield you from what's inside yourself. Sable's voice trembled. It can't be scarier than living another year in fear and dark. She forced a smile, but Ash read the hurt beneath it. Still, he leaned against her leg, offering what comfort he could. With a nod from the Grove Mother, Sable placed a careful foot on the first mossy step. The world above faded. Damp air pressed close as she and Ash descended, the lantern's light the only beacon. Sudden silence engulfed them, too complete. Then, flitting images glimmered in the darkness. A frail old man, Sable's sun-starved master, coughing over a dying flame. Children weeping in narrow alleyways, endless nights with no morning in sight. Shame burned in Sable's chest. I should have helped sooner, she whispered. The shadows thickened, swirling until they took shape. A younger Sable, face wary, arms crossed. This vision, Sable spoke, voice knife-sharp. No one cares about your clever tricks or how hard you try. You're no hero. You're running because it's easier than failing at home. Sable flinched. Ash nuzzled her hand, warm and real. That's not all you are. Ask what you want, not just what you fear. Struggling, Sable faced her double. I am scared, but I can't let everyone down, not if I have even a small chance to make a difference. I want to be brave, even if I'm not. Vision Sable softened, fading as the lantern's glow grew. Warmth surged through Sable, and the darkness loosened its grip. A golden thread unraveled down the staircase, the way forward. When they emerged blinking, the sun had not yet risen. Yet Sable's face was brighter, eyes clearer, posture taller. The Grove Mother nodded approvingly. You faced yourself and found truth, she said. This is the root of courage. The second trial awaits deeper in the wood. Sable exhaled, shakily but determined. What kind of courage do I need next? The owl-winged figure landed lightly on a branch above. There will be fear without the comfort of Ash at your side, and temptation to turn back. Courage is not the absence of fear, but action in spite of it. Sable glanced at Ash, then away, steeling herself for what would come. Lantern in hand, Sable stepped onward, bracing for the darkness ahead, and the depths of courage she would have to discover alone. Fog crept through the echo woods, swirling around Sable as she faced the second trial. The trees pressed close and the air turned cold. Ash's comforting presence had vanished. For the first time since this dangerous journey began, Sable was utterly, heart-poundingly alone. She lifted the lantern, but its glow dimmed, struggling against the thickening void. Every step seemed to echo with the voices of doubt left from the truth trial. The path forked in 3 places. Sable felt panic scratching at her thoughts. Which way would lead onward, if any? A sharp whisper sliced the silence. Hope falters in the dark. Give up, little light. Sable's feet froze. Figures flickered beyond the lantern's edge. Her master, gaunt and hopeless. The Grove Mother frowning in disappointment. And Ash, cold and lifeless. Fear wrapped around Sable tighter than the chill. She squeezed her eyes shut, forcing herself to remember what the owl-winged spirit had said. Courage is action in spite of fear. Opening her eyes, Sable chose the center path with trembling certainty. I can't go back, she said aloud. Not when people need a sunrise and I hold even a spark of it. She pressed onward. Shadows lunged and tugged. At one turn, a root caught her foot and sent her sprawling. The lantern rattled from her grasp, skidding into blackness. Panic lashed her. Her only tool in the dark was gone. Ash, she whimpered, desperate for her friend's comfort. Silence answered. Tears pressed at her eyes. But then she remembered the feeling in her chest when she'd faced Vision Sable. The pulse of something unbroken, even when the world tried to steal it. She wiped her face. I don't need to see the end to take the next step. Sable crawled forward. Without the lantern's light, she felt every scrape and prick of the forest floor. Still she moved, inch by inch, until her hand closed around the cold brass handle of the lantern, now burning with a steady, resilient flame. Ash melted from the trees, his shape forming out of mist. Thought you'd lost me? Relief burst in Sable's laugh. Not a chance. Ash's eyes gleamed, proud and warm. Most are lost by now. You kept going. That's courage, apprentice. The Grove spirits are watching. The mist parted, and the Grove Mother appeared, antlers tipped with starlight. You braved fear alone and found the flame inside. Only the sacrifice trial remains. Are you ready? Sable's shoulders straightened. Ready as I can be. Ash curled at her side as they followed the Grove Mother deeper into a glade of midnight blossoms. Each flower glowed with trapped dawnlight, reminders of the balance Sable hoped to restore. But as they neared the final trial, thunder rumbled, and something much darker than night stirred from within the sacred earth. The glade was eerily still, petals slick with dew as the Grove Mother bent low, her antlers scraping the sky. Above, thunder growled, promising a storm neither sun nor lantern could fully recall. Ash's fur bristled at Sable's feet, and the lantern's glow seemed to bow before the hush. The Grove Mother's voice rippled through the gloom. The sacrifice trial is the heart of all balance. Light cannot return without the loss of something claimed by shadow. What would you give for harmony? A circle of roots burst from the earth, shaped into thrones where 3 spectral figures flickered. Sable's mother lost to dusk years ago, her master, fading but smiling, and most unsettling of all, a version of Sable herself, older, content but alone. Each vision radiated a yearning so deep it ached to look at them. Ash stepped closer. They're echoes. What you wish for, what you fear losing. The Keeper's magic isn't just about power, it's about cost. The Grove Mother gestured, and the spirits spoke. Her mother's apparition beckoned. Return to the old ways, child. Let the lantern go. Stay safe in what's familiar. Her master's figure wheezed gently. Keep the light for our guild. Not all can be saved. At least protect the ones you know. Vision Sable offered calm isolation. The world cannot be mended without losing yourself. Can you bear the price of connection and hope? Sable's throat tightened. She gripped the lantern. If I choose only what keeps me safe, no one moves forward. If I hoard the light, then the shadows win by making us afraid of each other. Ash watched her, tail sweeping silent encouragement. The Grove Mother nodded, her form less a being than a memory of dawn. To restore the balance, you must give up what matters most, not for a promise or glory, but for its own sake. What will you let go? Sable's answer wavered, but did not break. I give up the need to be certain, the easy comfort of knowing everyone will approve, or that I'll always have someone next to me. I choose the risk that comes with true change. As the words left her, the glade bloomed gold and silver, petals spinning upward in a spiral, and the spectral visions drifted away, gazes proud and bittersweet. The lantern throbbed in her hand, and for a moment Sable glimpsed every soul shivering in the night, each one a pulse of longing for light. Ash pressed his head to her palm. You did it, Sable. Not many pass the third trial. Most are too afraid to lose anything. The Grove Mother parted the vine curtain at the glade's edge. Beyond here, the root of the world and the Veil of Emberlight. But the Nightwardens gather, awoken by your trials. Their power wanes, yet they fight hardest at the end. Lightning split the sky. Sable's courage steadied. Let them come. With Ash and the lantern, she stepped across the threshold toward the very heart of night, and the final confrontation stirring beyond the veil. As Sable and Ash stepped through the vine curtain, the path beneath their feet changed. The moss thickened, glowing faintly under the lantern's light, and the air trembled as though full of whispers. The Veil of Emberlight itself shimmered ahead, a wall of flickering gold and shadow, pulsing with the breath of two worlds. Ash's eyes narrowed. No turning back from here. On the other side is the root hearth, the source of all light and dark. That's where you can restore the balance, Sable, or lose it for good. She paused for just a heartbeat, then pushed forward. The veil was colder than she'd imagined. Lantern in hand, she pressed through, and the world rippled open before her. On the other side, night reigned, so thick Sable almost couldn't breathe for a moment. But the lantern flare cut a path, and suddenly she found herself on a broad platform of twisted root and crystal, suspended over a chasm alive with restless dreams. Waiting in the center, robes rippling like living void, stood 3 Nightwardens, the one from the alley, and 2 others, their eyes like shards of black glass, their faces half-remembered phantoms. The leader's voice was silence wrapped in silk. You come to defy the pact, little light-bearer. Day and night cannot merge without a cost in blood and memory. Ash bristled. She's come to set things right. A Nightwarden glided closer, shadow spilling at their feet. The old world fell because its keepers dared to share the sun. Are you so eager to repeat their ruin? Sable hesitated, lantern pulsing in response. If ruin is what follows sharing hope, I'd rather face that than endless hunger for daylight. The 3rd Nightwarden lifted a gnarled staff, shadows writhing at its tip. You have faced trials, but you do not understand the veil. Only one with loss and longing may wield the lantern's true power, and you are still but broken pieces. Ash let out a low growl. You call her broken because you're afraid. You fear what happens if people see they aren't alone in the dark. Sable's knees shook, but she held the lantern high. Maybe I am broken. Maybe everyone is. But that's why light is precious. The Nightwardens encircled her, power swirling, lightning crackling above the root hearth. The Veil of Emberlight inched closer, reacting to Sable's courage and fear both. Suddenly visions flashed. Sable's home, the city's children in the dark, Ash and the Grove Mother, all depending on her. You must choose, intoned the leader. Let the veil consume your spirit for daylight's return, or walk away and leave the balance untouched. Sable looked to Ash, whose fiery eyes brimmed with pride and worry. She steadied herself, voice ringing clear. I choose hope, even if it risks everything. As her words echoed, the lantern blazed bright as the sun. The root hearth responded, sending a ripple through the veil. Cracks shimmered in the Nightwarden's shadows, and the final battle began, the outcome shifting with every heartbeat. For a moment, time slowed at the root hearth. Sable and Ash faced the Nightwardens, entwined by power and shadows, as if caught inside a storm with no exit. All sound faded except for the frantic hammering of Sable's heart and the crackle of the lantern's rising flame. The leading Nightwarden stepped forward, staff humming. With a flourish, darkness spilled across the roots, snuffing out even the memory of stars. Sable felt herself suffocating as doubt flooded her mind, visions of a blighted world, the city frozen in endless gloom, Ash vanishing between shadows. Yet the lantern's warmth clung to her hand, a silent plea not to give in. Ash's voice broke the hush. "We are not alone, Sable. Even in the deepest night something answers back." Sable's voice was thin but steady. "You tried to keep us alone, to make sure nobody ever looked for another way. I won't let you." The second Nightwarden's cloak undulated, pulling memories from Sable's mind. Loss, fear, her sacrifices. But instead of backing away, Sable drew strength from them, remembering faces that counted on one stray spark. With a sharp cry, she thrust the lantern skyward. Its light stabbed through the veil, gold lancing into the dark. The root hearth responded, sending up waves of color, orange and blue, dawn and dusk braided together, aching for reunion. Suddenly, shadows peeled off the Nightwardens like brittle bark. The third Nightwarden staggered, clutching their chest as hope bled into their power. The leader hissed and pointed his staff, releasing a torrent of cold black wind that slammed Sable backward. Ash leaped, shifting as he launched. A fox, a comet of fire, a blur of starlight. He struck the Nightwarden's staff. It cracked with a thunderclap, sending a shockwave that split the veil further. With the staff broken, the veil wavered. All around, the roots shimmered, memory and possibility intertwining. Sable, dizzy, saw figures appearing on the other side, the Grove Mother, the children from her city, even her own master, lit by hope as dawn threatened the eternal dark. The Nightwardens faltered, now truly afraid. The leader snarled, "Balance is not won by force, it demands sacrifice. We remain to ensure the cycle never tips to chaos." Sable stood, battered but won't break. Maybe there's another way. Maybe old wounds can heal. She held up the lantern, letting it flare. As the veil buckled, a roar shook the root hearth. The cycle itself teetered on a razor's edge, light and darkness each a breath from victory. Sable's choice and one final trial would settle the fate of all. Ash slid beside her, his fur flickering with the first hints of rising sun. "We can do this. Together, we can finish what we started." The world seemed to hold its breath. Sable lifted the lantern, bracing herself. The Veil of Emberlight opened wider, and the final reckoning loomed closer than ever. And the most painful sacrifices still waited to be chosen. The root hearth trembled, roots groaning under the weight of what Sable was about to decide. Light and shadow battled across the platform, every second bringing the veil closer to shattering, or sealing forever. Around the embattled lantern-bearer, shards of memory and dream flashed. The warmth of her master's workshop, the laughter of city children, the endless hungry dark. Every image sharpened the pain of what must be chosen. Ash nudged Sable's side, his shape glowing with morning fire. "It's time. The root hearth calls for a final sacrifice. Light can return, but not through force. It must be given." The Nightwarden leader's voice boomed, echoing across the chasm. "Underdog, you could trade your life for daylight, but it will only last as long as the next brave soul dares. Humanity is weak. They would squander it." Sable's fingers shook, but she didn't lower the lantern. If the choice was always impossible, why does the veil still open when hope rises? Maybe we aren't meant to force harmony. Maybe we're meant to risk ourselves again and again, so each dawn is something earned. The city's people appeared in shimmering visions beyond the veil, watching, waiting, hearts in their throats. The Grove Mother's voice drifted from the roots. "True balance means trusting others with the light, even if you never see the end of what you plant. Will you pay that price?" Tears threatened, but Sable set her jaw. "If I must give up Ash, my guide, if I must lose the memory of hope so others can find it, I will. I'd rather be the turning of a page than the end of a story." Ash's ember eyes softened. "Sable, are you sure?" Her heart splintered, but she gave a broken nod. If I carry daylight forward but lose what makes it most precious, maybe others can build something brighter from that gift. A hush fell. Even the Nightwardens seemed moved, their edges blurring with regret. Sable pressed a trembling kiss to Ash's head. Thank you for believing in me, for teaching me to believe in myself. Ash leaned close, whispered, No light truly leaves, it becomes part of the dawn. As Sable stepped into the surge of lantern fire and shadow, the world stilled on the cusp of collapse or renewal. The Veil of Emberlight was open wide, the root hearth pulsing. She could still turn back, still choose an easier path, but she took one more step, lantern blazing, knowing the final choice would echo through every corner of her world, for light and darkness and all those condemned to hope. Sable stood in the gold shadow glow at the heart of the veil, lantern blazing in her grasp. Every thread of her journey, Master's fading smile, city children shivering at dusk, Ash's loyal warmth, wove tight around her spirit. Ahead, the shattered Nightwardens trembled at the edge, their shadows leaking regret and something dangerously close to longing. The root hearth thundered, demanding, for balance to return, relinquish what tethers you to the light. Give, and the cycle turns anew. Refuse, and the veil will become your coffin. Sable inhaled sharply, her decision a stone in her gut. I give away the bond I most cherish, she whispered, closing her eyes. Let my memory fade from Ash, and Ash from me. Let only hope remain. The words tore, but her grip held fast, not on certainty, but purpose. Ash stepped up, tail flickering every color of sunrise. He pressed his head to her palm one last time. Do not forget completely, Sable, even if you cannot recall my name. Believe you were brave, and never truly alone. A wind howled through the veil. Lantern light and shadow mixed, a dance as old as hope and fear. Sable's vision blurred with tears. She placed the lantern on the tangled roots at the heart of the hearth. The explosion of light was silent, no shattering or roar, just the sense of sunlight warming ancient bones. Dawn rolled outward, slow as forgiveness and bright as new promise. The Nightwardens shuddered, wept, and as the veil peeled away, they lost their monstrous edges, turning into somber, weary guardians. No longer jailers, but sentinels learning to trust daylight again. Staggering back, Sable blinked as faces emerged. The Grove Mother and her spirits. The city's children blinking in sudden sunlight. Even her old master, tears wetting his wrinkled cheeks. Someone handed her the now empty lantern. What did it cost? They asked softly. Sable searched herself. She remembered the journey, the pain and triumph, but Ash's shape, a fox, comet friend, had blurred into something just out of reach. For a heartbeat, sorrow surged. Then she looked around. Every blossom in the glade glowed. The city's towers threw long bars of mourning across the world. People found each other, hugging and weeping and reaching hands to help the next lost soul. Even the Grove's spirits and faded Nightwardens murmured together, healing ancient wounds under dawn's first honest light. Her burdens lightened. She'd lost a part of herself, yes, but gained the proof that sacrificing for others could spark a hope more powerful than anything shelled and hoarded in darkness. She was changed, taller, steadier, a bringer of sunrise no matter the cost. She stepped into daylight, a little lonely, a little more whole. The lantern gleamed in her hands, waiting to guide the next seeker. Above, in a hint of cloud and sun, a russet flicker danced, and Sable smiled, certain that some hopes never truly leave us, but wait patiently in the warmth of new beginnings.